Well, it's Harry and Barry and Bobbie. Do you think we could sign on someplace?
A new rock group, right.
Well, you all can do the singing and dancing, and I'll do the emceeing, if that's fair enough.
You'll be the looks in the group. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that, but thank you, thank you.
You've got $1 million salary here.
Harry, your story of how you got into the movies is almost as wild as the script of a 1930s movie. Is it all true, the way you got into the movies?
Well, I don't know exactly what you've heard, but it was peculiar, I have to admit. Do you want to hear what happened? Well, what happened is I was slated to go to London on a scholarship, a big grant to go and study independently Shakespeare and see the theater there. I left the resident repertory company in San Francisco where I was working, went to LA to pack my bags. I was going to spend a month there, get ready to go to London, not really interested in getting into the films at all. As it turned out, I met a few people there. I was just kind of looking around, scouting around, and one of the people that I met remembered who I was when Stanley called her up and said, "We need a young actor to read opposite people who are screen testing for this new movie." They asked me to do it because they couldn't get anybody else. No actor who's worked will go in and just read opposite another actress for a screen test. I hadn't worked, and so they called me up. I was reluctant to do it at first, I have to admit, because my plane was leaving that Sunday, and this was Friday, and they wanted me to stay over in LA to do the reading. But finally, as it turned out, I could get a camera out of the deal, a 35mm snapshot camera. So I said, okay, I'll do it. Went in, read with the girls, met Stanley Donen, and he said, "Harry, I'm sorry, there are no parts available in this film, but we would love to have you read opposite these girls." I said, "Okay, Stanley, I'll do whatever I need to do." Meanwhile, I read the script, and it was wonderful. It was fabulous. It just came alive as I read it on the page. It's the kind of script that would exist or would be made regardless of any obstacle. In any case, I read it with them a couple of times. Stanley said, "I don't know, Harry, you're good. I wish there was a part in the film for you, but we just have nothing." And I was sort of forlorn, but I kept reading. And then the next day, the second day we were working on it, he said, "You are good. I'm going to direct you. I'm going to even put you in a screen test." At which point, I got all excited. I did the test. He said, "This is not really a test for the film because the part is cast, but this will be film for you to have to get future work." Then the last day came by, and we'd done the test. He'd seen it, and he came up to me, and he sort of said, out of the corner of his eye, he said, "Harry, what would you say if I offered you the part in the movie of the boxer?" At which point, my socks were knocked off. But as it turned out, I ended up doing it.
And what happened to the fellow he had cast?
I don't even know who that was. I never even asked. I
didn't know either, because I was around at that time, because we were already in rehearsals for the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
Was it also a newcomer?
Well, I don't know if they'd offered the role to anybody. I think they had someone in mind. I don't know whether because once you make an offer, you have to stick to it. But I think they had someone in mind, and I was lucky enough to come in and be just what they wanted.
Barry, you were in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, I was.
Was that your entree then to this?
No. My entree to this goes back further than that. I've done a lot of Broadway shows and musicals, and been lucky enough over the last few years to garner some awards from this. And
like Tonys.
Tonys, all right. I got a Tony. And
don't be modest.
For a musical that I had done called The Robber Bridegroom on Broadway. And so Stanley was looking for a young leading man who could, just simply act, sing, and dance, you know. And I was recommended to him, so I was out in L.A. and I met with him. And he liked me, and I liked him, and I liked the script. And the music hadn't been written yet. The choreographer wasn't. Stanley was going to choreograph when I came in. I worked with Stanley as choreographer for 2 weeks. In fact, I rehearsed for this movie for 6 weeks before we even started shooting it. We rehearsed and we were putting together the dance numbers.
Very complicated dance numbers, too.
Yeah.
Not since Busby Berkeley have they done dance numbers like that.
That's right. Yeah.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show, of course, has become such a cult show, phenomenon, really.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Do you see any similarities at all between that and movie, either in style or form or anything at all?
Well, I would hope that movie could have the same, could appeal to the same audience in a strange way. Not in a strange way, in any way. I hope it appeals to the same audience. Come to see movie, you people who are seeing the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But Rocky Horror Picture Show is a cult movie, right? And it's a kind of movie that people go back and see 15, 20 times. It's a big party. And they have a relationship with the screen and the people on the screen. And I hope that the audience could find that simple line in our movie to relate to and come back and see it over and over again, because I think our movie's very deep, very deep. I think if you come back and see it 6 times, you'll see different things every time, because it's been constructed that way. You'll see that similar sets, the same sets, are used in both films. You'll see the same props used in both films, same costume pieces in a way too. And so for the bright and the sleuths in the audience, they can come back again and again and say, oh yes, that cigarette lighter that somebody's using in the second movie was used in the first movie by a totally different character. Mm-hmm. And this is what they do in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. They come in and they say, oh yes, that gun that the man holds in the last scene is really made out of a hood ornament from an old Dodge. Yeah, they do. They have a whole list of things that they send out to all the Rocky Horror fans.
Harry, did you feel at all intimidated when you had to do, especially in the very beginning, when you had to do scenes with George C. Scott?
Of course, I did. I'd never met the man before the first day that I met him on our first reading, but then I didn't see him until the first day that we shot. And of course, I woke up in the morning wondering what was going to happen to me that day. But I went in, and he was very nice. We sat down to do the scene, and the camera began to roll, and I don't know where he was coming from, but he went off, he did a little ditty that loosened us all up. I can't say what it is on television, unfortunately, but he was outrageous in the first shot, and he got up and he began to laugh, and he slapped his eyes and he said, oh, I just wanted to loosen everybody up here, at which he succeeded. And we went on to film a movie that, for me, will be one of the best experiences of my life. It was just nothing but good, clean fun.
Were the fight scenes the most difficult things for you to do?
They were. They were. I was not feeling too well. I got a bad cold just before we were going to shoot all the fight scenes. And I'd worked out a lot. I worked out for about 5 weeks with a trainer to learn how to do it. And when we finally got to them, I was terrified because I wasn't up to par. I wasn't feeling well, and the guy who I was fighting against was huge, and he was an experienced boxer, and he could take punches and give them, as I
Did you get hurt at all?
Went out a couple of times. Yeah, I was hit a couple of times, and one time, as a matter of fact, I was supposed to get knocked out and hit a mark and be knocked out, and I was actually knocked out, and I fell right on the right mark.
That's dedication.
And that was dedication.
That's where training comes in handy.
But I was out for a few seconds, no doubt about it.
Very, very quickly,
Yeah.
one question. You were on Broadway in Greece.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like the movie version of Grease?
Do I like the movie version of Grease? I think it's a lot of fun.
Do you
A lot
really?
of fun, yeah. For 13-year-olds. And that age group, yes, I think it's a lot of fun.
Okay. We're out of time. Nice to have talked with both of you, and good luck.
Pleasure.
With your careers, and we hope movie is a success.
So do we, so do we.
Okay, Bobbie, cutaway?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Now, do you want me to move back, or what?
No.
Do I like asparagus?
No, we should talk about the film now. We should talk.
Okay.
I should ask you what was cut out of the movie which is something I've always wanted to know. There are some scenes that are cut out of the film that you actually worked on and did, right?
Yeah, about an 8-minute dance scene.
Really? Is that
Yeah.
the one on the roof?
Yeah, that whole thing's been cut out. Except the beginning and the end of the scene, the little bit of singing, but you saw the movie? You see the movie? On the rooftop where I am playing at the piano and singing, and she's there. Well, that number was originally choreographed. There's an 8-minute dance number there, and we go from the piano out onto the roof.